Yeah. Good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning to you all. We are here again, giving thanks. Giving thanks. Yes, for those of you who are new here, I want to say a very special welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And to all my returning travelers, I want to say thank you for your continued support. Now, this morning, we are going to continue with the Bible reading. We are on to the book of Matthew, and today we'll be reading Matthew chapters 14 and 15. So if you are here, come along with me. Get your book Bible, your Google Bible. Get your book Bible, your Google Bible, or whatever Bible source you have, and join me. We are going to be reading and talking about what we're reading. So it's us reading and expressing our thoughts. Now, for those of you who are new and don't know how this works, let me just break it down a little bit. Now, I am on a quest to read the Bible from beginning to end, and I have chosen to take you along on that journey. A journey that has so far taken me over mountains of confusion, most mountains of misinterpretations, misunderstandings. It has been a journey, and a journey that I'm not afraid to share with the world, because it is through this journey that many people who have been on this journey with me have been able to fulfill their desire to read the Bible. Because just looking at the Bible, it seems like a daunting task to even attempt to read it. And by me reading it, a lot of people have been able to follow along, and by so doing, they can always say, well, they have read the Bible from beginning to end by having listened to me read it. So hey, a win is a win, right? Yes, guys. And also, because I do not endorse any particular religion or denomination, there is absolutely no bias. There's absolutely no bias in my reading. I just read as simply and as plainly as I would have read any other book. I am not pushing any religion onto anybody. I am not trying to dissuade anybody from their religion or their denomination. That is not my plan, and that is not my business. I'm not into that business of convincing or converting anybody. And that is totally contrary to some people who I have met, not just on the internet, where they will try to convince, condemn, and convert you based on the Bible. But my Lord, they have never read it themselves. So they have absolutely no clue. They have absolutely no clue what it is that they are condemning you for. So with that, we by knowing that, we know that when we hear people coming at us and fussing at us about anything that is in the Bible, we know better than to even stop to entertain the tomfoolery. Okay? But Sister Winsome similar. Mr. Winsome, me know similar, and I have been up. But yesterday I didn't get a chance to, scroll through the internet and stuff like that. I opened my eyes yesterday evening I started doing all that I had to do, I have a life outside of the internet, right? Right. So I started to take care of that life outside of the internet. And it just, yeah, it took me until what, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. I was just like, all right, then let me go sleep. So I did that, and I did not get to see a lot of what was going on in the world yesterday. So this morning when I got up at 4, me have to take a peep over upon the top. Me have to go listen to the nightly news and catch up on what's going on. A lot has gone on since then, right, Michael? So guys, I am here this morning. I am here, you are here, we are here. So get on the Bible and make we read St. Matthew chapter 14 and verse 15. The last time we read a few days ago, we read about Jesus sending out his disciples to go heal the people. And as I told you all before, that there was just one thing that I read there that was quite interesting, because Jesus was sending out his disciples. He said he had given them the gift of healing and performing miracles and stuff, and he wanted them to go out and do the same. But he didn't want them to go into the strange countries, which meant that they were only to stay in Israel and Israeli territories. But in the event that they were captured by the enemies, he didn't want them to worry about what to say, because he made them aware, as I'm sure they were aware already, that the enemies were going to be coming after them. They were on a path to being arrested and being charged with disturbing the peace or with something, because the people around them, the countries around them, they were not happy to know that here comes a Jew who everybody is starting to follow, and that Jew I mean is Jesus. The other countries around Israel were not happy that here comes a Jew who everybody is seeking to follow. They did not like that, because they have always gone out of their way to ensure that the Jewish people around them were not represented, they were trodden, they were meant to feel as though they did not belong, and the disparities that existed at the time meant that the Jewish people were not seen as much. They didn't seem to be worth much in the eyes of the surrounding countries. So to see a Jew rising up, teaching and preaching and performing miracles, can you imagine? The people around them was not, they didn't just feel threatened that he was going to be now as great as David and conquer the region and be able now to reestablish the dynasty of Israel that had existed hundreds of years prior. But they were concerned now that his presence was now going to threaten their existence. So they wanted nothing to do with him or what he was doing or anybody who was associated with him. But one instruction he gave to the disciples, and he told them not to go into the strange countries. And he also told them that whenever they entered into a home where they were going to perform miracles, they should ensure that the person they are performing the miracle on is one of them, and one of them meaning a Jew. That was rather interesting. But I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to say too much about it. We are going to continue with the reading, and I'm sure as we read along, we might come across an explanation for that or a justification. But in any event, we're still going to continue with the reading. Fair enough? Fair enough. Fair enough for me. All right, Billy is here. Let me acknowledge some people who has rolled into the place. Billy and Sean, James and Don. It's not Don, that's on Bon Bibon. And there is an evangelist, Magdalene here, and James and everybody else. Welcome into the live, guys. Thank you all so much. Happy Saturday morning to you all. Thank you all so much for coming. Now, let us get on with it. Right, Sister Winsome? Get your book Bible or Google Bible, whichever one, and come along with me, guys. Let us begin the reading. St. Matthew chapter 14. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus, and said unto his servants, This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him. For Herod had laid hold on John, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herod's sake. Hold on. You know, funny, something is funny, guys. Anytime I read the Bible, I always, more than always, I should say, end up finding some information that in all my 50 plenty years that I've been on this earth and going to church and uh, reading the Bible, and hearing preachings and stuff, some of these things I never know. Y'all remember the day before yesterday, or the last day we read the Bible? Which day was that? Wednesday, I believe it was. Y'all remember when we were talking about the disciples? I know a lot of you, just like myself, did not know all the name of the disciples. And here I am again, reading something else, making another discovery. I love making discoveries, actually. But let us read right there again. For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. Oh, you don't hear that? For Herodias' sake. So Herod had put John in prison for Herodias' sake. Herodia was his brother Philip's wife. So hold on now, let me write this down. I gotta write it. So Herod had a brother, and his brother's wife. Herod had a brother named Philip, whose wife was Herodia. Okay, let us continue. For John said unto him, It is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, "Give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger." Hmm. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given to her. And he sent and beheaded John in prison. Then I me never know this a story. Talk to me, people. Did y'all know this story? I didn't know this story, guys. So, King Herod had put John the Baptist in prison. Yeah, I did hear that before. And I did hear that he was beheaded. But I never know say it was because of Herodias and Herodias' daughter. I didn't know that. So because I didn't know it, I'm going to remember it. I'm going to read right there, so again. All right? Well, that's interesting. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus. He said unto his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him." For Herod had laid hold on John, and brought him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, "It is not lawful for thee to have her." So because John told Herod that it was not lawful for him to be with his brother's wife, he got upset and he used his power and his authority to put John in prison. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude. So at that time, he would have slain John, but he was afraid that all the people who were following John were going to get mad and there was going to be an uprising. So he did not. But when Herod's birthday was kept, so they kept a birthday party for Herod. All right. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before him, and it pleased Herod. Now, Herodia would have the daughter of Herodia, wouldn't that now would have been Herod's niece? Because Herod's brother Philip was married to Herodia. Okay, so that means his niece would have danced at his party and he was pleased with it. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatever she wanted. And she, being before instructed by her mother, said, "Give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger." So her mother had before told her, they had that conversation, and the mother had expressed that she wished John the Baptist dead. And so now the daughter saw the opportunity to let it happen. And so she told her uncle that that's what she desired, and he let it happen. And even though he did not want to, King Herod didn't want to slay John the Baptist himself. He did not want to slay John the Baptist because remember, he was concerned about the uprising of the people. But because he had taken an oath, he had to honor that oath of giving her whatever she wanted. You see, that's why, guys, I tell you, we're not supposed to swear and take oath on them something, you know, because for those of you who have a strong desire to follow the Bible down to the T, you realize that if you take an oath, you're supposed to carry it out according to the Bible. Yeah, you're supposed to carry it out. You know, people like to say, and I'm just going to quote here, people like to say, myself, if I'm not true. So you mean, so when you find out that it is not true, whatever it is that you were talking about, you're supposed to go yourself? All right. Taking oaths are not good. But because because Herod had taken that oath to his niece that he was going to give her whatever it is she wanted, he could not back down from unaliving John, even though he himself did not want to see John dead. Let's continue. Verse 10. And he sent and beheaded John in prison. And John's head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. Okay. And she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion towards them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a deserted place, and the time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals. And Jesus said unto them, They need not depart, give them something to eat. And they said unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he said, Bring them to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake, and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitudes. And they did all eat, and were filled. And they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children. And straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him unto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went unto them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit. And they cried out in fear. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, if it is really you, bid me to come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand, and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Hey, was this a test of Peter's faith? Was it a test of Peter's faith? Or was it because the wind was boisterous why he got afraid? There are 2 things here. Some people might say, oh, Peter started to doubt himself while walking on the water, and that's why he started to sink. But then there was a boisterous wind. Now imagine yourself even walking on land and there is a boisterous wind. Try walking on land in a hurricane. Don't you think you're going to miss your step? Don't you think you're going to feel like you are falling over? Don't you think so? So I don't think it was a test of I don't think Peter's faith really played much into it. I think the boisterous winds were causing him to be unsteady. Practically thinking. But if you want to think in practical terms and say, well, he was losing faith into his ability to walk on the water, and that's why he was starting to sink, then you are free to think so. I'm usually the opposer anyway. So I'm going to say that I think because it was so windy, because there was a storm, that's why Peter was starting to sink. Because remember, it says after they went back in the ship, the wind died down and everything was calm again. Okay. Guys, I'm just a practical thinker. I mean, there are some things that I believe might happen or could happen. There are some impracticabilities that I rather leave alone rather than take along with me. Right, Sister Winsome, let me see who else is here. I see Patrice, I see Debelin, I see Chile and Valley. Welcome, guys. Thank you all for coming. You all know what's going on here. I am doing my morning's reading of the Bible in my desire, in my quest to read the Bible from beginning to end. Now, this is not your typical Bible class. I am not teaching you anything about the Bible. I am not qualified to teach you anything about the Bible. So that's not what's going on here. So don't get it twisted. What I'm doing, though, is reading it. So at least if you follow me, read it, you can at least take credit and say, well, you have read the Bible from beginning to end. If you are just joining me, though, you are going to come up short because it's been 2.5 years since we have been reading from Genesis, and here we are now in the book of Matthew. Right, Mr. I like your name. I like your name. Mr. Good. Mr. Fit on the other way. This is unconventional Bible reading, guys. Okay? All right. Bless up yourself, Mr. Good. Let us continue. Let us continue reading. A night for you? It's no night for you. It is morning for me. Actually, let's see what time it is. 18 minutes after 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning in March of 2024. Can you believe it? Wow. Can you believe it if the internet is around 100 years from now and my great-great-great-grandchildren come on the internet? You see how my voice is being immortalized? Ain't that something? Anyway, why did I go off topic? Let us continue, lovely people. Let us continue. Verse 33 of Matthew chapter 14. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth thou art the Son of God. And when they were gone over, they came into the land of Gennesaret. Gennesaret. Well, I never remembered me. I've never heard that name before. Just like many of you. Who didn't know of that word? That name, Gennesaret? And when they were gone over, they came into the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place had knowledge of him, hold on, Okay, some of the words that are my Bible missing. Okay. Hold on there. What would this have said? And when the men of that place had knowledge of him, they into all that country round about. Guys, I don't know what I should have said now. Because some of the word them look like they're missing. Verse 35 of chapter 14. And when the men of that place had knowledge of him, they sent, I'm not sure what that should say. The words are missing there. But we're going to continue. They sent into all that country round about, and brought unto him all that were diseased, and besought him that they might only touch the hem of his garment, and as many as touched were made perfectly whole. Okay, so I'm getting context now from that, even with the missing words. So it is said that when they came to this country called Gennesaret, the people of that country heard that Jesus was there, and I'm sure by now everybody would have heard that he was the healer. People were being healed just by touching the hem of his garment. People were being healed just by him saying, be healed, get up and walk. And people were getting up and walking just by him saying, be hear, and people were hearing just by him saying, see, and people were seeing. I mean, blind people were seeing, deaf people were hearing. People who had been crippled and in bed for years were now getting up and walking. People with leprosy were being healed just by his touch. And so the people around him, even though they did not like him, because they did not like the fact that a Jewish person was getting all this notoriety. And, hey, Jenny, what's up? Good morning, Jenny. Happy Saturday morning to you, my love. How are you doing? So even though the people around were not happy that a Jew was this powerful and was gaining this much notoriety, they were still lining up to get healed. Ain't that something? They would take the healing. They don't want to have nothing to do with him, you know. They don't want to have anything to do with him. But if he's making the blind see, you will go and line up all of the blind people them and let him heal them. If he's making the deaf hear, we're going to line up all our deaf people and let him heal them. If he's making the sick, if he's healing the sick, come, bring all of our sick people. Bring all of our people who are disabled and crippled and bedridden. Bring them all and let him heal them. But because he's a Jew, we still got nothing to do with him. You don't notice that people have the same attitude these days? People have the same attitude. If you are able to do something for them, they will use the daylight out of you. You hear me tell you? They will, they will use you down to their bone. But deep down in their heart, they hate the guts out of you. They got nothing. Give him my Shanice said, give him my name. Girl, I tell you. Let me tell you. It is, this thing is pervasive even now. You understand? People, if you allow yourself up to people, they will use you till they can't use you no more. They will use you to fulfill every desire of theirs. You understand? And in the end, deep down in their heart, they got nothing to do with you. When them done use you, you can't go dead for all them care. Thank you, Shady. Thank you for the likes, guys. Yes, you can't go dead for all they care. Because they have already They have already gotten what they want out of you. And some of them will even be bold enough to look you in the eyes and tell you straight up, me done with you. Me get everything when me want. And me done with you. And you could have even dead for all I care. Yeah, man, some of them bold like that. Yeah, man, some of them bold like that. I'm telling you. Miss Set Good, thank you for the rosy. Saturday morning, Saturday morning. When I was growing up, you see like, oh, this is Saturday morning, It's now 6:25. When I was growing up, we wouldn't be out of bed yet because it's kind of early. But you see, by 7 o'clock, you better get up. By this time, your shoes already clean. Your frock, your frock already hang up behind the door. So you know which frock you're going to wear. Your socks in your shoes, you know which shoes you're going to wear. You know them little butter shoes with the little strap come over the top? Yeah. You know which shoes you're going to wear. Your socks in your shoes. Your slip and your panty put on the chair over there, so. And your frock hang up behind the door. So you see when 7 o'clock come, and mommy say, go bed. No matter how cold it is, you better try go on out the door, go bed. Right? Hurry up and come in, because when 8:30, you're going to eat breakfast. And you see by 8:45, the latest 9 o'clock, you're out of the house at church time. At church time. But anyway, you're going to eat a little piece of pudding and drink a little mint tea. Oh, anybody here had my kind of life growing up? I don't say if you're Jamaican, you must. There's no Jamaican that have one unique kind of life growing up. Most of us share the same kind of life. Yeah. On a Saturday morning, no fire nor makeup, no fire nor makeup, no porridge nor cook. No. The tea already in the thermos from last night, and the pudding already baked from yesterday. All right, Shetty? All right, Miss Set Good? You hear me, Richard? Okay. And so this morning, you're going to eat one little piece of pudding and drink some tea and be off to church. Let us continue. Let us continue reading. Hey, Mike, what's up? Good morning, guys. We are reading from the book of Matthew this morning. Matthew chapter 14 has been quite interesting. Quite interesting. But we are finished reading that now. We are moving on to Matthew chapter 15. This is the second and last chapter for the morning. All right? So read along with me, guys. Get your book Bible. Get your Google Bible. Whichever Bible you have, come read with me. Or just listen. All right? Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. I wonder why them nasty so. Why them not wash their hands? But he answered and said unto them, why do we also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? For God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, it is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me. You know, so I just say a whole heap of things there, so people. But just say a whole heap of things there, so. And I need to read it again. Let's read it again. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem. Okay. So the scribes and the Pharisees, these were Jewish scribes and Pharisees. They were from Jerusalem. And they came to Jesus and said, "Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." So the tradition, the Jewish tradition, is that they wash their hands before they eat bread. But here now, the disciples were not washing their hands before they eat bread. And the scribes were concerned. The scribes and the Pharisees, they were concerned. So they brought this concern to Jesus. Now let's hear what Jesus said to them. But he answered and said unto them, "Why do we also transgress the commandment of God by your traditions?" All right, and flip it on them. You are come a complain, but them not washing their hand. You not follow the tradition either. Let's see what tradition he's talking about that the scribes and Pharisees are not following. For God commanded, saying, "Honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death." Okay, that means the scribes and the Pharisees were not honoring their father and their mother. But he say, "Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me." Okay. That kind of, all right. To me set good here, so me set good said, he means not physically washing hands, but respect. You think so? You know something? Sometimes when I'm reading the Bible, I am tempted to paraphrase it or to say what I think it means even before I read what it means. And I am trying to not do that, because oftentimes when the Bible says something and it's a little shaky in its explanation or its understanding, as you continue to read in the context of what was being said, you find an explanation. So I don't like to jump on to the conclusion. She said, "Respect thy mother and father. If not, your hands are dirty." Okay. All right. So all right. So we will continue reading. Let us continue reading. I'm sure the confusion will be cleared up as we read along. Verse 5 said, "But he say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition." Hold on there, guys, because me have to really sit down and read this after me finish this reading. Verse 7, he said, "Ye hypocrites, well did Esaias," and remember Esaias here, when they talk about Esaias in the New Testament, it is Isaiah in the Old Testament. We had clarified that several chapters ago. "Ye hypocrites, well did Esaias prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. What me tell you now? You all see, I tell you, they come to him with their lips, they come to him, coming close to him, talking about coming close to him, and actually coming close to him only because they want their people to be healed, only because they want what he has to offer. But they not come to him with their hearts. No. The last thing they want to see themselves is following a Jew out of real, true love and affection. No, sir. They not come to Brands, what's up? How are you doing, my love? Yeah. They haven't come to him because they are being genuine. Like, they genuinely want to follow him. They only want him to heal their sick. And then they're gone about their business. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, that defiles a man. You know, so people always use that verse. Whenever people, you know, I tell you all that how I grew up, and because of the denomination in which I was raised, I was discouraged from eating things like pork and shrimp, lobster and oysters and those kind of things, which I still don't eat. And people always use this particular verse here when they want to convince you that there's nothing wrong with eating the pork. They will tell you it's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, it's what comes out of your mouth. So now I see where they get it from. But after the Bible years, I wasn't talking nothing about pork. But anyway, we are going to continue reading. I'm going to read verse 9 again. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. Then answered Peter and said unto him, declare unto us this parable. So Peter is asking him to explain that parable that he had just said, you know. If a blind lead the blind, they shall both fall in a ditch. And let's hear Jesus give the explanation to Peter. And Jesus said, are ye also yet without understanding? Oh Lord, Jesus asked him, you don't have no sense, you don't understand when we talk. Do not ye understand that whatsoever enters into at the mouth goeth into the belly and is cast out into the draught? Okay? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. What better explanation do you want? Because whatever you eat, yeah, somewhere you eat is just for sustenance. It goes in your belly, goes out in your poop. But think about it. Your thoughts are not that tangible. Your thoughts come from a different place. Nobody else can organize your thoughts but you. It is coming from an intangible place. So whatever it is that you are thinking, whatever it is that has corrupted your thoughts, when you speak those thoughts, then it only shows who you are. And that's the only way people are going to know what's going on inside of you, is by what comes out of your mouth. Fair enough? Because I could just sit here, and look. I could sit here and look for an entire day, scanning the room, scanning the internet, just looking. And nobody would know what I'm thinking unless I open my mouth and start to speak. And then the listeners start to evaluate what I'm thinking. Just like when people text me and say, Trev, believe in a God, you know. I'm sure it is because they are listening to me read the Bible, and they're listening to me give my own interpretation on my understanding of what I am reading. And people are subtly drawing conclusions and asking me these kinds of questions. And I mean, I don't care. I don't get offended, but I don't get offended by people just asking the question. But when people start to go down the rabbit hole of, you're blaspheming and you're going to hell and something right there, so me draw the line. Me draw the line in the sand right there. No, we ain't doing that. We ain't going there. All right? Because I try to read the Bible for myself to understand. And I don't want nobody using no scared tactics to control my thoughts. And I am bold and brave enough to express my thoughts, because my thoughts are my thoughts. And I express my thoughts based on what I am reading. And that sometimes I find, some people find it to be problematic. And the only reason why they do, guys, is because Christians on a whole don't like to hear any opposing views, especially when it comes to the Bible. A lot of Christians believe that once you are reading the Bible, whatever it is that they believe is what you are supposed to believe as well. But the funny thing about that, why I do not subscribe to that. Do you all notice that in the Christian religion, so many people, everybody reading the same Bible. Everybody is reading the same Bible. Yet there are over 2,000 denominations coming out of the same Bible. But people be acting like they got a lot of strength from me for saying what I say when I read the same Bible. And they cannot agree amongst themselves. Adventist, Catholic, Baptist, Church of God, Pentecost, everybody reading the same Bible. And everybody claim to be worshiping the same God. But everybody have a different denomination. So I say today, as I say all the time, when you can fix that, if you can fix that, then you and I might be able to have a conversation. But until then, don't come at me with whatever my views are. All right? Right, Brother Steak? Brother Steak. Brother Steak, I mean, you call brother. People getting quite offended these days to be misgendered, So, so don't make me join the gang now and tell you, I'm not a brother. I'm not a brother. I'm a sister. I'm a woman. 100%. Don't call me brother again. I don't like it. Miss that good. Fix up yourself, right? It's a sister here, not a brother. All right? But anywho, guys, we are going to continue with the reading of the Bible. Thank you all for stopping by. Miss Veronica, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you all, guys. Let us continue. For those of you who are just coming, we are reading from St. Matthew chapter 15 at the moment, and verse 15. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Declare unto us this parable. And Jesus said, Are we also yet without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth into the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the draught? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile a man. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cried after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's interesting. Okay, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he's come, he's being sent to redeem the lost souls of Israel. But this woman is from Canaan. So is that why he didn't answer her as she was calling out to him? All right, let's continue. Then she came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. What? What? People, I'm going to read right there, so again. And behold, a woman of Canaan. Now that is of particular importance where that woman is from. Okay? A woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. That means he did not answer her. He ignored her. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she's crying after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Meaning, what it says, I am sent here for the lost sheep of Israel, not for anybody else. Then she came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. So this woman is desperate. And now she's worshiping him. She is begging him to help her. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. Now, I know not gonna say, well, let me hear how Trevor gonna interpret that now. May I interpret it just like what it say. Remember, the lady is coming to him, begging him for help. He's ignoring the woman. The disciples say, why don't you just Why don't you just send her away? Because it seems like she's not going to stop following us. He said to the disciples, I am sent actually only for the lost sheep of Israel. Now remember, this woman now is not considered to be a lost sheep of Israel. She's a Canaanite woman. But the woman insisted that she wanted his help. So she kept following him and bowing down and worshiping him. And he said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and give to dogs. My interpretation of that is this blessing that I have is for Israel. So I'm not going to give this blessing to this stranger. But he describes her as a dog. Which, by the way, was not something that was unheard of for the warring factions to refer to each other as dogs. It was not unheard of. Jewish people would refer to the people who were not Jews as dogs, and the people who were not Jews would refer to the Jewish people in the same manner. It seemed to have been their favorite curse word for each other. Just like us Jamaicans, what is our favorite curse word? Drunkro. For them, calling their rival a dog was their favorite word of insult. Just like us Jamaicans, our favorite words of insult for somebody is to call them a jankro. So he said it is not good for him to give the children's bread to the dog. And she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. You see how easily that was turned around? Yeah. Even though she knew that because she was not an Israelite, she was not expected to be given the blessing by Jesus because she was not a Jew. She was still willing to follow him. She was still willing to worship him because she knew that because he had healed other people, he had that ability to heal. And she so desperately wanted that healing for her daughter. So she said, well, even if you don't want to give me the food, I will eat the crumbs off your table. You don't have to give me the main course. This dog will eat even the crumbs off your table. The crumbs that fall to the floor. This dog is willing to eat it. And so Jesus said she's of great faith. And so he healed her daughter. Verse 29, and Jesus departed from thence and came nigh unto the Sea of Galilee, and went up into a mountain and sat there. And great multitudes came unto him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. Insomuch that the multitude wondered when they saw the dumb to speak, the maimed to be whole, the lame to walk, and the blind to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. Then Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude, because they continue with me now 3 days, and have nothing to eat, and I will not send them away fasting, lest they faint on the way. And his disciples said unto him, Whence should we have so much bread in the wilderness, as to fill so great a multitude? And Jesus said unto them, How many loaves have ye? And they said, 7, and a few little fishes. Oh, Mr. People, say, I tell you, it is good to read the Bible, for yourself, Say, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine a couple of days ago. And she said, I said the Bible talk about our 5 loaves and 2 fish or 3 fish. Yeah, I talk about the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And he was adamant. And I said, Trev, I never did 5 loaves. I did 7. I did 7 loaves. I said 7. 7 does sound like something that I've heard before. And we went back and forth, but I could not flip the Bible to find exactly where it was. And when I Googled it, it talked about the 5 loaves and the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. So we eventually settled on the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and said, all right, then that's what it is. But I'm sure he must have read about the 7 loaves right here, and that's what he was talking about. And I didn't know anything about the 7 loaf here. So let us read this again, so that you all can know that the Bible did talk about the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and it talk about the 7 loaf as well. So when we hear somebody talking about there being a multitude that was fed with 7 loaves, that did happen for real in St. Matthew chapter 15. Let's read it. And Jesus said unto them, How many loaves have ye? And they said, 7, and a few little fishes. That means there must be a few little ticky. A little sprat them where we always catch down a rush. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and the fishes, and gave thanks. And brake them, and gave to his disciples, and to the multitudes of people. And they did all eat, and were filled. And they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And he sent away the multitude, and took ship, and came into the coasts of Magdala. Wow. So it was that was 2 times. That was 2 times that he fed the multitude with bread and fish, but little bit of bread and fish was stretched to feed a multitude of people. Now here in St. Matthew chapter 15, he had 7 loaves, and he said a few fish, but it never said how many. It says 7 loaves and a few fish. A few little fish, maybe some little sprats. And he used it to feed 4,000 men, plus women and children. And here in chapter 14, he had 5 loaves and 2 fish. And that he used to feed 5,000 men, women and children. Okay. So now I know. I know I'm not alone, because I know many of you here who never know either. Y'all didn't know that it was 2 times that he did this. Well, he probably did it more times, but as is documented here in the Bible, I only ever heard about the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. Well, there are the 5 loaves and the 2 fish that was used. The 5 loaves and the 2 fish that was used to feed the 5,000 men, plus women and children. And then there was the 7 loaves and the few fish that was used to feed the 4,000 men and women and children. Oh, interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. But that's where we are going to come to the end of this morning's reading. We have gone over the hour. But this is where we are going to come to the end of this morning's reading. I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live. Those of you who commented on the live, I sincerely appreciate you. The loves and the likes, I sincerely appreciate those as well. Miss Set Good, I appreciate you, my dear. Thank you so much for having come. Miss Chidi, thank you so much for having come into the live. There are so many people who came into live. I can't remember the names of everybody. Luganis, ATB, Kamlo, Miss Set Good, Brothers Tech, Winsome, and everybody else. Please, I'm not just signaling out anybody. I want to say thanks to everybody who has come to join me. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow morning, just about the same time, same place. When yes, Winsome, that's what she name. Miss Set Good. Miss Set Good, Miss Set Right. Yes, don't forget to join me again tomorrow morning at around the same time, same place, on my YouTube channel, Trevessence Unstoppable, and on my TikTok, Trevessence. That's going to be it from me for now, my friend. Until next time, Tafarim, you just roll up in the place. How you doing? Until next time, my friends, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a fantastic day, guys, and I will see you all sometime later. All right, Sister Winsome, have a good day, guys. See you later. Winsome, you know, I'm going to have to read. I'm going to have to do my reading this morning, because later on I'm gonna be busy. I'm gonna have to read my book. Yeah, spend another hour and read my book, because today I'm gonna be very busy. So, Sister Winsome, have yourself a great day, sis, Brother Tech, and everybody else who came into the live. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I will see you all later.